My husband took the 23andMe DNA test as a joke. 3 weeks later, he filed for divorce. What that test revealed shattered everything we thought we knew about our marriage. And if you think it was just about ancestry, you're wrong. This secret was bigger than either of us imagined. Bigger than family trees and old bloodlines. This was about betrayal, hidden truths, and the kind of pain that no marriage can survive. And it all started with one simple swab of spit. Life was ordinary. 7 years of marriage, one beautiful son, and the kind of routines that make you believe your family is unshakable. Morning coffee together before work, late-night movies on the couch, Sunday church with neighbors. We weren't perfect, but we were us, and I thought that was enough. When he bought the DNA kit during a holiday sale, I laughed. It seemed harmless. A silly way to find out if he had Irish or Italian roots. He even joked about discovering a royal ancestor, someone famous to brag about at family gatherings. I played along, smiling, clinking glasses with him over wine as we teased each other about who might have the more exotic background. But behind that smile, I was terrified. Because while he saw this as a game, I knew that test could expose a truth I had buried for years, a truth I prayed would never come to light. It started as one mistake, one reckless choice during one of the loneliest times in our marriage. A choice I convinced myself would never resurface. But with that little white box sitting on our kitchen counter, I knew it was only a matter of time before the past clawed its way into the present. And so, I laughed with him. I acted like it was fun. But deep down, my entire world was waiting to collapse. The waiting was worse than I imagined. Weeks passed, and every night, I'd catch him refreshing his emails on his phone. He'd sit on the couch, scrolling, his leg bouncing with nervous energy. I teased him, "You act like you're waiting on lottery numbers." He laughed, brushing it off, but there was a spark in his eyes, a kind of childlike excitement. To him, this was fun. To me, it was a ticking time bomb. Every time I saw him swipe down on that inbox, my chest tightened. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe it would just show us maps and percentages like everyone else online. But deep down, I knew better. This wasn't just about ancestry. This was about paternity. About the secret that could tear our marriage apart. Each time our son climbed onto his lap, calling him daddy, I felt my stomach twist. What if one email could erase all those years, all those memories, with one cold sentence? At night, when my husband snored softly beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, rehearsing excuses I might use if the worst happened. But no matter what version I told in my head, it always ended the same, his eyes filled with betrayal, his voice breaking as he asked me why. The waiting didn't just build suspense. It broke me piece by piece. Because I knew the truth wasn't a matter of if, only when. Then one morning, it happened. The sun was just creeping through the curtains, painting the kitchen in pale light. His phone buzzed with a notification. He opened the email casually, like it was no big deal. But within seconds, I saw the blood drain from his face. His eyes widened, his hands began to shake, and then he slid the phone across the table toward me. On the screen, under our son's name, were 4 words that broke everything, not the biological father. I felt the air leave my lungs. My world stopped. For a moment, the only sound in the room was the clock ticking on the wall. He looked at me, rage, confusion, heartbreak tangled into one expression. His voice was barely a whisper, but every syllable cut through me like a knife. "How long have you known?" My throat went dry. My mind screamed for a way out. But there was no more hiding, no more pretending. The truth I had buried for years had clawed its way out. I opened my mouth, but no words came. All I could think was how the life we had built, birthdays, anniversaries, bedtime stories, could be erased in a second by one email. And in that instant, I knew. The marriage I thought was unshakable was already falling apart, and nothing I said could stop it. I finally spoke. Years ago, during one of the darkest times in our marriage, I made a mistake. He was working endless hours, coming home late, exhausted and distant. We barely spoke. I felt invisible, like I was married to a ghost. That doesn't excuse what I did, but it is the truth. One night, lonely and angry, I sought comfort where I shouldn't have. In the arms of someone else. It wasn't planned. It wasn't love. It was weakness, one reckless night that I swore I would bury forever. And for a long time, I did. I can still remember that night, the dim bar light, the smell of whiskey on his breath, the way I told myself it didn't mean anything. I walked home in the rain, hating myself, and the next morning I put on a smile like nothing had happened. When I found out I was pregnant, I convinced myself the child was my husband's. I wanted so badly for that to be true that I never allowed myself to question it. I built my entire life on that fragile hope. For years, I lived with the guilt. Every bedtime story, every birthday candle, every family photo, all of it carried a shadow. The shadow of what if. The shadow of when. And now, the when had finally arrived. He exploded. You let me raise a child that isn't mine? You lied to me every single day. His voice shook the walls, rattling picture frames. I tried to explain through sobs, I never meant to hurt you. I thought he was yours. I wanted him to be yours. But my words only poured gasoline on his rage. He knocked over a wedding photo, the glass shattering across the hardwood floor. The sound rang in my ears like a final bell. Then he walked away. No more yelling. No more questions. Just silence, footsteps, and the sound of the door closing behind him. And in that moment, I knew there would be no forgiveness. Not this time. I collapsed onto the floor, staring at the broken frame. Inside was a photo of us on our wedding day, smiling like nothing could touch us. Now that same smile mocked me, a cruel reminder of the promises I had broken. Hours passed. He never came back that night. My phone stayed silent. My son slept soundly in his room, blissfully unaware that his whole world had just shifted. And I sat in the dark, replaying his words over and over until they felt like daggers carving into my chest. That night, he packed a bag. No screaming. No threats. Just quiet movements in the dark. A week later, divorce papers arrived in the mail. Cold. Formal. Final. Our son still calls him daddy, and I don't have the heart to take that away. But deep down, I know he'll never come back. The trust is broken. The marriage is over. The house feels different now. His coffee mug still sits in the cupboard, untouched. His side of the bed is cold. Neighbors ask polite questions, but I see the judgment in their eyes. I try to smile for my son, to act like everything is normal, but he notices the empty chair at dinner. He asks questions I can't answer. And each time he says daddy, I feel my heart split a little more. The price of my mistake is a family torn in two. Sometimes I catch myself reaching for my phone, wanting to call him, to beg him to come back. But then I hear his voice in my head, broken and angry, you lied to me every single day. And I know there's no going back. Before I tell you what happened next, let me ask you, have you ever taken a DNA test? Have you ever wondered what secrets it might reveal? Because for me, it didn't just reveal ancestry. It revealed betrayal, lies, and the end of a marriage. I sometimes wonder, if I had told him years ago, would things have been different? If I had confessed when our son was born, would he have forgiven me then? Or was this always going to be the end? These are the questions that keep me awake at night. Questions I'll never have answers to. If this story moves you, please like this video and subscribe, because sometimes, real life teaches us that the truth comes at a cost we aren't ready to pay. And the scariest part is, sometimes that cost isn't just yours to carry. It falls on the people you love the most. So I'll ask you again, if you knew a DNA test could expose everything, would you still take it? Or are some secrets better left buried? I thought the worst was over. But I was wrong. Because in the quiet that followed, I did something I swore I'd never do. I picked up the phone and called my son's biological father. My hand shook as the line rang. I wasn't even sure what I'd say if he answered. But it wasn't him. It was his wife. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. And before I could explain who I was, she said my name. She already knew. My stomach dropped. How did she know? What had he told her? I tried to stammer out an explanation, but she cut me off. Her voice was steady, but underneath it, I heard something sharp. Anger. Resentment. Maybe even pity. And then she said words I'll never forget, words that made me realize this story wasn't finished, not by a long shot. What she revealed in that moment changed everything I thought I knew about the man I had once been with, and it left me with a choice I never imagined I'd have to make. If you want to know what she said, stay with me and make sure to subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happened next.